Do you think this is the end of an era for Belgium?
I do. Unless they really come pull a rabbit out of the hat at the World Cup with some older players, which is possible because they have individual talent, but I just don't see it. They've
Mm-mm.
this was their last. This is probably the Belgian players at the end of their peak. So at the tip at the probably at the best at their best, or Eden Hazard, who hasn't looked at his best in a few years, but yeah, they really don't inspire confidence going forward, and they're only going to get older, and they don't have the academy. They don't have the youth to replace these players. Unfortunately, it sucks because it was really fun seeing Belgium being discussed as it actually they were number one UEFA ranked team in the world. So being discussed as a top club, they were ranked the top club or the top international
Nation.
team. But
Hmm.
yeah, it was fun, but yeah, it's probably gonna come to an end here because they don't have the players to replace these guys, and they're only getting older and more injury prone, as you saw with De Bruyne.
Yeah. Kevin De Bruyne is a huge example, so is Aiden Hazard. And you mentioned something incredibly important that it doesn't look like the youngsters are going to pull up and do something incredible. It looks like Belgium is going to have to wait another 30 years to have a true golden generation, because when you talk about Belgium's first golden generation, you're talking about like the mid 80s, Mexico World Cup in 1986. That's what you're talking about. Um, and then you fast forward all the way to 2014. 2014 is when they showed up. Granted, they qualified to the World Cup in France '98, and then I believe they went to Korea, Japan 2002 as well. But still, they were non-factors in those tournaments. They weren't showing up with world-class talent. It was very different. And yeah, the youngsters aren't really pulling up. They're not doing their job, and it's showing in those under 19, under 20, under 17 tournaments where they don't feature. These guys are not featuring. So honestly, this might really be the end. This might mark the end of Belgium's golden generation, and it sucks that we see players like Kevin De Bruyne, your boy Aiden Hazard, not winning something with their national teams. That in world football, that's kind of what catapults you to the elite level, right?
Yeah,
And that's an argument that has been made against Messi. Well, he's never won anything with Argentina. Um, we're not really going to get into that, but now when you make arguments about Kevin De Bruyne, about Aiden Hazard, chances are there's going to be no international tournament there, because if they couldn't do it now, if they really couldn't do it in 2018, they couldn't do it in 2016. 2014, I think it was a little too early to start asking these types of things out of them. But if they couldn't do it at their peak, maybe it was just never meant to be.
yeah, it's unfortunate, and I would also argue it's time to let go of the manager of Roberto Martinez. If they're gonna
Mm-hmm.
really try for that last ditch World Cup that I mentioned earlier, it's got to be with the new leadership and someone who's just knows how to pull out a win. Maybe if I mean I don't see him being let go, but if Didier Deschamps, if something happened there, somebody like that, maybe someone who could really pull out, like I said, pull out a rabbit out of the hat and knows how to finish out wins. But other than that, I just I don't see them really making noise, and especially not if they keep Roberto Martinez, because it just doesn't look like they're gonna change anything enough to really be a bigger threat than what they are already. And if they can't get back, can't get past uh, this, I know Italy's probably the strongest team that was left, but this is probably the easiest path to a trophy that they had in all these the golden generations whole time. It's this Euros there for the taking. It's not like nobody's really playing out of their minds. That's gonna scare everybody, to claim throne. So yeah, I think Belgium, this was their last chance, and if they want anything going forward, one last chance, they've got to make a big change. Although I would say I like Doku. Doku
Mm-hmm.
really played well. I like how dynamic he was. He was really pacey, but they don't have enough of those players coming through to really have the confidence to say, yeah, they're gonna rebound from this because they're only getting older.
Doku was like he was the best part of this Belgium team against Italy, because it just felt like they were so inaccurate. The Belgium against Italy, Belgium was incredibly inaccurate, and it felt like the only real clarity that they had on the pitch was Doku. And you know who he reminds me of?
What is
He
it?
he reminds me of Sadio Mane. The way that they run, the way that they are in and out, and you don't know which way they're going, and you guess or you try to guess which way they're going. You're like, ha, I got him, and he's like, ha, no, I got you, and then they go the other way. That zigzag. I'm like, oh my god, that's Sadio Mane. Just like 11 years younger, right? Um, but there's some hope there, and I will say this: maybe if Belgium was a little more accurate in front of goal, and they had, I know talking about luck in sports is a little simplistic, but maybe if they had a little more accuracy and just a tad bit more luck, who knows? Maybe they would be playing the semifinal on Tuesday or tomorrow. But ultimately, the result is them being eliminated yet again. Um, and you mentioned something incredibly interesting about changing the manager, because they changed their manager after Euro 2016. Mark Wilmots was sacked after Euro 2016. In came Roberto Martinez. So now, maybe after the Euro, maybe once the final is played, and things settle down a little bit, and a week has passed since they've been eliminated, maybe they will let him go. But I haven't heard any news. I haven't really read any reports that Roberto Martinez is on his way out. I don't know if you have.
No, I have. There was rumors like when the loss happened, if this was the end, but then I haven't heard
Mhm.
anything since.
Yeah, it also feels like the Belgian Federation likes to keep a process going. They don't like to cut it short, which power to them. If that makes them feel comfortable and they are confident in their guy. I mean, there's what 17 months left until the World Cup, or 16, something like that. So they could just give it another shot. They could give it another shot, and who knows, maybe another Doku shows up within the next 6 to 9 months, and he starts making a real case to go to Qatar. But what we know now, it looks like this is really the end. It looks like this is the end, and also something that I have to mention, but before we move on, Belgium was the oldest squad in the whole tournament. They were the oldest squad in Euro 2020. So yeah, this is the end. If you look at it like that, this is the end. This is definitely the end.
Yeah, I have to agree. It's just it's tough unless some hypothetical youth comes through that no one's aware of. Yeah, it doesn't look likely. It's just they're done. They gave us a fun memories, but that's about it.